Policy or evidence is not value-free evidence.
When creating policy, it's important both to have evidence and passion. The passion helps you to get the attention of the decision maker or of the policy specialist. It helps you to get them to notice you because you really are interested and have a real important case study or a personal example which really gets you there. But then evidence is even more key once your idea has been heard and when you're trying to get policy and issues listened to. The reason for this is because you tend to be influencing other stakeholders who kind of understand your passion but kind of aren't as passionate as you, so they need to be sold on your idea. So this could be civil servants, ministers, external stakeholders, that all need to be sold on your idea. So having evidence such as surveys or polls or data in any form can really help you sell this. So it could be a survey of a group of people. So for example, in the campaign for the Children and Young People's Assembly for Wales, we had to try and sell our idea of having a national platform in Wales for young people to have their voices heard to the National Assembly for Wales. To do this, we carried out a national consultation where we managed to talk to lots of young people across the whole of Wales, and then we managed to show these results to the decision makers. And actually it showed it wasn't just the small group of us that was passionate about it, or had an interest in it, or needed this policy idea to happen, but it was actually the much wider group to actually allow civil participation to occur.
Traditionally, policy decision-making processes relied heavily or almost exclusively on the passion and instinct of leaders. Bringing evidence into play means that we can identify the frameworks and decisions that are most effective in a scientific manner with better understanding of context.
We often forget that policymakers are just human, so they need to be influenced and incentivized to do something just like any other humans. And very often we forget the aspect that influence a lot of policy making is actually political power. That is why policy and politics cannot be separated. And that is why there is more good people who really care about the nation should go into politics, so that there are more and more policymakers who truly care about creating policy that benefits the nation and not just benefits a certain group of people.
Data and evidence are reflections of scientific thinking, so every successful policy is supported by solid logical foundation. But we're humans and we're not moved by charts and numbers. We are instead moved by good stories. This points to the second arm of good policy, which is passion. For policy to be successfully implemented, it should be presented in an appealing, passionate story. Climate change is supported by hard scientific evidence published by hundreds of scientists, but it's usually presented in a striking visual. A lone bear standing on an ice sheet in the middle of the ocean, for example. This image can move people who care about animals. For me, it is crucial for the success of policy to be presented to the stakeholders in a full image, which consists of both the scientific and the passionate, emotional side of it.
Ultimately, the line between passion and objectivity is a balancing act that you have to decide for yourself. You need to ensure that you use data ethically. Don't pick and choose information that just suits your argument. But you also need to make certain you're not derailed from your purpose just because you hear voices that disagree with you. Look closely at how this data is formed, where it comes from, and what the messages are that it contains. You can use the deep understanding you have from this evidence to guide how you act and how you balance your objectivity and your passion.